Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, you had a decent spring break or staying nice and safe out there. Anyways, I'm going to be announcing our new unit here from the Forum of Augustus here in Rome, and we're going to be going back to Ovid and do some more mythology. As much as I would love to slog through some more Augustus with you, I just don't think that that'd be a really fun, independent way of learning Latin. Instead, we can do some short myths. We'll do easy versions of it. We don't have to do as much translating. We can do more project-based activities, and hopefully that will lend itself a little bit better than just reading and translating prose. So with that being said, we're going back to our man Ovid. We read one story from Ovid earlier. That was the story of Midas. And as you might guess, all right, this comes from a work known as the Metamorphoses, which is all about change. Meta meaning a turning point, a change, and phoses coming from the Greek word meaning form or shape. So all these stories, there is some sort of metamorphosis that happens throughout them. And this was a work, of course, written by our man Publius Ovidius Naso, aka the Nose. You might get that joke if you know Latin. Anyways, this man, he wrote a bunch of poems. He was pretty famous during his time. He wrote during the reign of Augustus, and he was most well known prior to the Metamorphoses for writing this, the Ars Amatoria, the Art of Love, which was basically kind of like a fun little pickup book on how to get dates in ancient Rome. It was a playful kind of lighthearted thing, but it did have some kind of scandalous passages of adultery and things that Augustus definitely was not fond of. In fact, it would perhaps be one of the reasons he would be exiled to Scythia, which is the remote northeast of Greece, and he would spend the rest of his life in exile. And when asked why, he said it was due to a poem and a mistake. We don't really know what that mistake is, but we think the poem that he's referring to is something from the Ars Amatoria. So while he's out in exile, he's obviously not happy with his fate. That's when he writes the Metamorphoses. Out in the middle of Thrace, out in the middle of pretty uncivilized land, at least compared to the Romans. There weren't very many cities. It wasn't very urban. It was basically, kind of a frontier or wilderness. And there he will write all these stories, which are very important. These stories are the basis for a lot of our knowledge of Roman and even Greek mythology. All right, a lot of our famous myths, and even, here's our lovely painting by Caravaggio of Narcissus. A lot of these myths, if you think about it, they all deal with change. If you think about what happens to the main characters, there is usually a quite drastic change in their physical, if not just outlook on life. For Narcissus, of course, he will stare at himself in a pond until he dies and turns into a flower. All right, we have Apollo and Daphne. Daphne rejecting Apollo's advances here in this work by Bernini, running away only to be turned into a tree by her father as Apollo catches up to her. Or we have Pan and Syrinx. We have Syrinx trying to get away from the advances of Pan, running away, and her father turning her into river reeds. Or we have Mr. Phaethon, all right, and then a work by Peter Paul Rubens. We have him trying to drive the chariot of the sun across the sky, failing miserably, and forcing Zeus to, in fact, knock him off of the chariot to save the world, killing him. And then finally, the myth that we're going to start off with, we have Peter Bruegel's landscape with the fall of Icarus. It's a famous work, and Icarus is, a really major part of this painting. He's, right there, okay? If you think of the common theme of all these different myths, we have myths of nymphs turning into trees and plants. That's pretty common. We have a boy trying to drive a chariot of the sun across the sky. We have here another boy trying to fly, trying to defy what humans usually can do, and ending up dying. If you think about the common thread that all of these myths have, it's all about mortals trying to overcome, to best nature, and failing pretty miserably. All right. Narcissus, he thinks he's the most attractive, most beautiful thing in the world, and his punishment after Echo dies is to be entranced by his own reflection, and he himself, his beauty fades as he withers away and he turns into a flower. All right, or Echo and Daphne fleeing from gods, fleeing from embodiments of nature. That's gods have power over nature, trying to flee, trying to defy gods, and ending up turning back to nature, turning into trees and reeds. Or Icarus here too, trying to take flight, something that nature had not blessed humans with, and in the end, falling to his death after flying too close to the sun. In all of these myths, we see man trying to best nature, but nature besting them. And we can look at a few ways why this might be. It could be Ovid's outlook on civilization and outlook on his new surroundings, and Scythia seeing that maybe man isn't as great as they might think they are. So these are all themes that we're going to look at as we read a few myths. We're going to be pretty critical when we analyze Ovid. For a lot of history, people have looked at Ovid as kind of like I don't know, like an Avengers movie, right? It's like a Marvel movie. It was something that was there to entertain. It was there just for a lighthearted story. But modern scholars have seen that there is some pretty subversive themes running throughout the Metamorphoses, and those are what we are, of course, going to be looking at closely. So hopefully, again, you all are well. I'll be posting more videos and activities as the week goes on. Please keep checking Schoology. If you want to get a hold of me, please come to GChat at 10 to 11 or email me. Again, we're not going to be doing Google Hangouts because I can get green screens to work, but I can't get Google Hangouts to work. So, that's where we are. So anyways, I'll talk to you all soon.